Yes, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. How is your night? Mlash Mlango back with another episode of the same series that we've been doing about reclaiming our dominion. So if I hope you've been following through, uh, you've been watching through the discussions, and today is a recap. We are doing a recap of the entire first phase of this series. So because we are going to go to the season 2. But before we go to season 2, I am doing this episode just as a recap, and just pointing out a couple of things that we discussed before. And we say that the first the first season was based on the first chapter and the second chapter of the book of Genesis. And this is where we see man being created, and we see what kind of a human being man is. And we see that a man is created in the image of God and after his likeness. We also say that the image of God means the ability to imagine, the capacity to imagine like God, the capacity to think like God, that ability to envision things the way God does. So that we say that is the image. And in the New Testament language, we call it the mind of Christ. That was the image. And so the likeness is the functionality, is the potential, is the spirit, the spiritual abilities that we have as human beings, the life of God. That is the likeness of God. That is the likeness, the spirit. So that power, the power, the power that we have as humans, the capacity also to relate spiritually, it is inside the likeness of God. So that was the first thing that we discussed, the nature of mankind and how we were given dominion and commanded to subdue the other. And we say to the word subdue means to fashion, or to fashion something to a higher order of usefulness and beauty. So we say the word subdue means fashioning something into a higher order of usefulness and beauty. And we also saw another important word that replenish the earth. You shall replenish the earth, and replenishing the earth is being able to supply fully. So everything that earth will ever need or ever needed was put inside man so that we can reproduce it. No wonder God said, be fruitful and multiply. So fruitful is that the ability to produce yourself, and then also the ability of what you've produced to reproduce itself, the multiplication factor. And we say this multiplication factor was not just a physical aspect, it was also atmosphere based. And it was about reproducing the atmosphere of heaven here on earth. Because remember, we being a spiritual beings, having the spirit of God, will not just consist of the natural existence. We also have a spiritual existence, which is like that of our Father, from whom we come, in whose image and likeness we are. So we were not just here to reproduce naturally, we were also here to reproduce spiritually. We were placed here to produce the atmosphere of heaven here on earth. And we also went also ahead to discuss the third chapter of Genesis, which I called the saddest chapter, where Adam is being tricked by the devil, where where man falls into the trap of the enemy and disobeys God, decides to go independent. And we studied the entire concept of this sin, because the devil is a genius of temptations, and there is a way he places his traps. And the trap and the bait here was tricking man and deceiving man that he would be great, he would be greater if he lived independent of God. He would be greater, he would be more special, he would be more, he would realize a bigger aspect or a more glorious aspect of himself outside God. That was the lie, deceiving man to live independent of God. That was the bait. And he told him that he's not enough. He showed him that he's not enough without you being in God or being aligned to God is your power as a human being. Yet the devil told man that you're not enough. Being in fellowship with God, living in submission to God, he told him that that is a limitation. So the not enough bait of the enemy has continually worked against mankind to date. So that was what we discussed. And as I conclude this episode, I want to share something that is important. Now, you need to ask yourself, why is it the devil is tempting man? Why is it the devil is interested in man at this point? Remember, man is running his own business. He's in the Garden of Eden. He's doing his own business. He's in the middle of the work of which God created him to do. And you remember that God brought all the animals, everything that he had created before man, and man named it. And the Bible says, whatever man called any of those of the creation, so it was. Meaning man has already begun his work of dominion, has begun his work of profiling earth, because that was his job. So, but the enemy is there and he comes to the man. So now you need to understand something, that there was something that man had that the devil did not have, and that was the sole reason that he came to tempt him, he came to deceive him. Man had something that the devil needed. And that was dominion, that was rule, that was the glory and honor that God had given him, according to the book of Psalm, chapter 8. So there was an interest. The devil was interested in what man had. So that's the main reason he came to tempt him, because there's something that he had that the devil did not have. There's something that you have as a human being that the devil does not have. And that is why he seeks you day and night, because he needs to have it for him to really have a place to live. Remember that you are the custodian of earth, you are the landlord of earth, and for the enemy to have space here, he needs your permission. And so we have consistently and continually paid rent for the devil to live on earth and to exercise authority on earth, because that was our faculty as human beings. That was our place as human beings. And when man gave in to that bait, when man took that bait, we found ourselves in a situation or in a circumstance or in surroundings that were not necessarily God's plan. And in the next season or season 2 of the same series, reclaiming the dominion, our dominion, I will be sharing God's redemption plan and what God's plan is. Now you must remember that God has many ways of solving. So I will be taking you through God's redemption plan in the next season. Please don't miss out. And I am just asking you, requesting you, kindly subscribe, like, make a comment down there, do something, and make sure that this content is reaching people that may need it. Thank you so much for always taking your time. Legends always like videos. Enjoy yourself.